Leadership is really the challenge to be something better than mediocre, something better than average. The step above, not just to be above from ego standpoint, but the step above so you can help someone else. What speaker was it that said, in order to lift someone up, you must be on higher ground? How true, and the challenge of leadership to be something more than average or mediocre has these components. Make this list. This is a good list. Learn to be strong, but not rude. Strength. We need rudeness we don't need. Here's where it's important to learn the graces, not just the skills. Next, be kind, but not weak. Sometimes it's easy to mistake weakness for kindness, but not true. Kindness is a powerful strength, but don't let your kindness become weakness. Next, learn to be bold, but not a bully. Boldness. We need bully. We don't need throwing weight around. We don't need trying to impress. We don't need express, yes, but impress, no. Next is to be thoughtful, but not lazy. To dream, but not just become a dreamer. To think, but not just become a thinker. To have a philosophy, but not to become just a philosopher. I know they call me, the great business philosopher, which I like the title. It's okay. But my philosophy says jot it down. Results is the name of the game. The name of the game is not philosophy. Philosophy is just a useful tool to set you on a good track so that a year from now you'll be in a better place than you would have on the old track. Hopefully most everybody here, maybe everybody here, is going to set a new track for your health and for your family and for your future and for your activity and for your productivity and for your spirituality and all the rest of good values. So be thoughtful but not lazy. Here's the next one. Be proud but not arrogant. Pride. We need team pride and community pride and state pride and country pride and personal pride and family pride, but not arrogance. Don't let your pride slip into arrogance. Here's the next one. Be humble but not timid. Some people mistake timidity for humility, but humility is a virtue. Timidity is an illness, a malady that can be corrected. You can learn to drive your timidity into such a small corner. It does not now disturb the rest of the house. Here's one more in terms of sophistication. Doesn't take much to learn and practice the art of sophistication. Here's a good one. Humor without folly. Humor has its place, but just don't cross the line so that your humor becomes folly. Next, it's okay to be witty, but not silly. If you want to lead as a parent, and lead as a manager, and lead as an entrepreneur, if you want to lead as a community leader, and lead as a senator, and lead as an important person of influence and power, witty. Yes. Silly? No. Is there something that your top achievers do that the people that aren't achieving at their level do? I'll give you two things. So first thing is, we could put this different ways, but they reclaim their habits faster than most people, or they get back on track quickly. So top performers make mistakes like everybody else. But, and I think most of us know this or have felt this from going through life, which is it's almost never the first mistake that ruins you. It's the spiral of repeated mistakes that follows. It's like it's letting slipping up become a new habit. That is the real problem. And if you make one mistake, you miss a workout, or you miss a deadline, or you flop on a speech or a presentation. If you get back on track quickly, if the next time, the next iteration you don't miss, and you're right back where you were before, then your progress is generally maintained, and you can just continue to advance from there. But if you miss a workout, and then one would miss, workout becomes 2 weeks, and that becomes 2 months. Well, now all of a sudden you have backslided a fair amount, and you got to regain all that ground. And so I would say, another way to think about this is like a lot of people are focused on what can I achieve on my best day? And that's kind of how they select their habits. Like, what's the best thing I could do when I'm at my best? But instead, you could ask yourself, what can I stick to even on my worst day? And I think that could be your baseline. And if you try to raise that baseline a little bit, so that your bad days are a little bit better than they were before, then you never eat into the compounding as much. You don't lose that progress as much. So I think that's pretty good. They respond from mistakes quickly. And then the second thing is more of a mantra or a mindset, a way to think about things than a specific action. But this is a phrase that comes from Frank Slubman. He's the CEO of Snowflake, the software company. And basically, it's something to the effect of narrow the focus, up the quality. Increase the speed, so narrow the focus. Do less. Stop trying to do so much. It's very hard to be almost. We could maybe even say it's impossible to be a top performer in a dozen different things. Like, you have to choose what isn't what matters most, so do less. Narrow the focus, up the quality. Once you have selected those few things that truly matter, do them at an exceptional degree, right? Do them in a very high level way, and then finally up. Increase the speed only once you've selected a few things to focus on and you do them at a high level. Then you can worry about shipping more consistently, or increasing the volume, or scaling the project or whatever. And those are simple ideas. But I think that top performers take those simple ideas very seriously. And you'd be surprised how far they can take you if you do take them seriously. When I was starting out, one of the best things that somebody said to me early on was try things until something comes easily. And I think if you break that phrase down, there are two important pieces. The first is trying things, which means you need to have a philosophy of experimentation. This is actually quite different than what a lot of people do when they start out. A lot of people feel like what they need to do is read more and research more and try to, discover everything that's out there. And it's not that you shouldn't plan. It's not that preparation isn't useful, it is useful. But at some point, planning becomes its own form of procrastination. And when that happens, it's not useful anymore. And so you have to have some willingness to experiment, to try things, to test stuff out, and see what works specifically for you. What matters most is not if it's like the best strategy that's ever been designed. What matters is, will it work for you and for your situation? And you can only figure that out by experimenting. So that's the first part. And then the second piece is until something comes easily. Now, the key distinction here is that does not mean that it is easy, right? It doesn't mean that it's going simply or smoothly. It just means that the results are coming more easily than the other stuff that you had tried. You may still have to work very hard to get that outcome. But this, I also think, helps reveal like your strengths in the situation. So a lot of people think like your strengths are just something that like must come effortlessly to you or something. But actually, in many cases, your strength is the thing that's challenging, or the suffering or the pain that you can handle better than most people. So it's not that it's not challenging for you, it's just that you seem to be able to handle that form of pain a little bit better than most people. And I think if you look at a lot of top performers, they're like that. You know, it's not that athletes aren't working hard. It's nothing not sweating. It's nothing. It's not tough to be in the gym and like doing the next rep. It's just that they can kind of handle that pain, you know, like that form of suffering isn't that bad for them relative to the average person. And so you're looking for those two qualities, the philosophy of experimentation and the ability to get results in a way that allows you to handle that struggle a little bit better than others. There's a chapter in the book called The Secret to Self-Control. And I talk about some of the studies and research around willpower and so on. And one of the key findings is that people who exhibit high willpower, who appear on the surface to have a great deal of willpower, the primary thing that is different between them and people who appear to have low levels of willpower is that they are in environments where they are tempted less. So their environment is primed for them to be high willpower. And I think that alone should inform a lot of your strategy. Again, how do we stack the deck in your favor? How do you design an environment where you don't need to be a superhero just to get something done? You know, like if you're constantly putting yourself in a tough position, where you're fighting against the friction of the environment you're in. It's almost like a form of gravity. It sort of pulls you toward it. If I could pick one topic that I think is even more important than I realized when I wrote the book, I would probably say it's this. We are all part of multiple tribes. Some of those tribes are large, like what it means to be American or what it means to be French. And some of those tribes are smaller, like what it means to be a neighbor. Next, every leader must understand the law of averages so you can use it for your benefit and for your company, anything you might be involved in. Here's what the law of averages says. If you do something often enough, you'll get a ratio of results, and anyone can create this ratio. In baseball, we simply call it batting average. If you go up to bat 10 times, get a hit, we say you're batting 103 hits out of 10. You're batting 300. You don't have to be perfect going up to bat these days. Batting 200, 300, you can make $4,000 or $5,000 a year in sales. That's about all you got to do. You don't need to bat a thousand salt, right? You don't need to bat perfect. You can get plenty of no's, but the yeses can make you rich. So don't worry about the no's. Concentrate on the yeses that make you rich. Key. Once the ratio starts, it tends to continue. If you can get one, yes. Out of 10 presentations, chances are, if you give 10 more presentations, you get another 10 more, you get another 1. Next, the ratio can be improved. The 4th time you talk to 10, you get 2 instead of 1. Now you're starting to grow. We must also understand the ratio and the law of averages when it comes to dealing with all of the projects concerning human beings. Here's the simple ratio. Everything's a pyramid. Just make that note. Everything is a pyramid. And the reason is because all humans are different in temperament and desire and goal setting. If we go to university and we count the number of freshmen, so now we count the number of sophomores, is it the same number of sophomores as freshmen? This stuff's not hard. Now this is real easy stuff. If we count now, the sophomores are there just as many sophomores as freshmen. And the answer is no. Somebody says, why is that? It's just one of those things. You don't need to study this now. If in the university we were to now count the juniors, the junior class, count them, would there be as many juniors as sophomores? No, you say, well, shouldn't we fix this? And the answer is no. This is the way it is, since everybody's different. Everybody has different ambitions. This is not moral value. Now that we place on that morally, sophomores are better than freshmen, we say no. It's just that the numbers are smaller. Are there as many seniors as juniors? No. Now here is one answer to why number one, life takes its inevitable toll. Some didn't make it from one class to the next simply because their life was taken. They lost their life. Next, each human being has a different set of visions for their own future. Some are willing to settle for more safety than risk. Safer to be an employee than to be an entrepreneur. So that's not a moral question between being an employee and an entrepreneur. Sometimes it's a matter of temperament. And sometimes you have to be careful what you teach in mass because there's such a variety of temperament. There was one philosophy for a while that said everybody should plunge into debt, mortgage your house and mortgage your car, and pile up as much debt as you possibly can. Then you'll have this unbelievable incentive to become incredibly successful. Well, jot this down. What's an incredible incentive to one is devastation to another. So you can't recommend grandly something like that because it depends on a person's temperament.
Somebody says we all should, probably not. So you have to be careful what you teach in mass. Not everybody should, not everybody will, and this is not a moral question.
Here's what it is. Personal decision. And what you must learn to do is understand that each individual has dignity because we're created by a creator and given dignity and rights. Rights to stay, rights to grow, rights to be safe rather than to risk. And you can't call one moral and one immoral. That's not true. It's just a matter of personal choice. Here's the best we can teach. Everybody should do the best they can with where they want to be. Sometimes people linger for a long time in the freshman class and then suddenly they decide to grow. Now they graduate and become entrepreneurs and bless the world. Who knows when those things will occur? Is this helpful? I'm telling you to understand what people want to do. I used to hope that everyone would do the same. I would hope that everyone would want to be extremely successful. I used to say, I'm going to change these people if it kills me. I almost died. I mean, you can't change them. You learn early not to send ducks to eagle school, not a matter of morality, not a matter of demeaning, but whoever wants to do whatever they do, our best encouragement is to do the best you can and keep learning. Do the best you can and keep learning. Do whatever you want to do and keep learning. Here's what I discovered. It was one of the surprising discoveries I made. People of modest means can become sophisticated because learning sophistication and practicing it is not expensive. How much is a book on unique sophistication to bless your life? $30. It's not $3,000. It's not $30,000. How much is a library card? It's free. The study and practice of sophistication is available to everyone, no matter what their modest means or wealthy means. Because jot this down, wealth does not guarantee sophistication. Wealth doesn't guarantee the graces. I know a guy that's rich, he's a clod. This guy's a clod, eats with his elbow in his soup. I mean, he's just a clod. His money has done nothing for him in terms of his sophistication and uniqueness. And yet someone of very modest means can become very sophisticated. They know the graces. They live a unique life even though they have modest means. Interesting. So understand that all life is a pyramid. Let everybody do whatever they wish to do. Encourage everybody to do better, but let people linger if they wish to linger. Let them grow. If they wish to grow, help them change. If they wish to change, okay, here's what's next. If you're working with people to understand, learn to work with the people who deserve it, not the people who need it. Because we must operate like life operates. Life was designed not to give us what we need. Life was designed to give us what we deserve. And if you've got people to work with the ones that deserve it. Now here's the next part that's very important for a leader management to understand. Now you must teach people how to deserve your time. You must teach people how to deserve your help. You say, Mary, if you'll do this and this, I'll do all of this. And if you'll do this and this and this, I'm telling you, I will do all of this. I will meet you more than what? Halfway. But you've got to come toward the halfway part. And probably since I'm so anxious to work with you, if you'll start taking these steps, I'll probably meet you more than halfway. We learn not to go all the way just because of need. Unless someone needs to be rescued, unless the situation is out of control and there's no other way. Next, don't expect the pear tree to bear apples. I used to try to change everything. You can hang apples on a pear tree. I'm telling you, it won't help. You can put up a sign, this is an apple tree. Sure enough, come the season pears. Here's what I learned. You cannot change people, but they can change themselves. You cannot change people, but they can change themselves. Incredible capital in your business isn't what matters, okay? It's not the money that buys you a future. It's your skills that buy you a future. Money and no skills. And I'm telling you, you're still poor money and no ambition. Where are you money and no courage? You're broke. A little bit of money and a whole lot of courage. That's all we need. I'm looking for people and I'm recruiting back in those days and the money didn't matter. What mattered to me was somebody's willingness, somebody's ingenuity, somebody's willingness to try, right? If they had $1 to invest, that was plenty for me. $1 and some ambition. And I can show you how to get rich, and it'll be one of the classic stories of the company. I go to recruit somebody, they say, I don't have any money. See, I've been looking for you for 6 months. Let me show you how to do it without any money, because here's the rules of capitalism. Got this down. You can either buy and sell, or if you're in certain circumstances, you can sell and buy if you've got ambition. Now, If you haven't got ambition, we can't cure that. And money won't cure lack of ambition. But if you've got $1 and some ambition, I'll show you how to get rich. And even if you don't have $1, I'll show you how to get rich because you can sell and buy. Somebody says, as soon as the product arrives, I'll sell it. Then you don't understand. You don't understand the magic of fortune if you say, I have to wait till it gets here to sell it. And you probably don't understand the value of your own story. Once I understood that, I knew I was going to be wealthy. That's why right in the beginning, I started giving big tips. I knew I was going to be wealthy. Say, wow, this guy tips like a rich man says. That's right, he tips like a rich man. Even in the beginning, I tipped like a rich man because I knew I was going to be rich.